Hey everyone, so today we're going to be doing a new video on After Effects about typography and transitions between frame to frame. Alright, so let's get going here. We're going to create a new composition. 1920 by 1080 is fine. That's 30 minutes. Sorry, I was editing a video before. So, and I do apologize that the character animation or rigging video hasn't been out yet. It's kind of going to take me a bit of time. I have to make sure that when I create the full rig, it actually functions very well. That way I don't embarrass myself when doing the video. So I'm just making sure that everything goes well so I can actually start recording that video and redo the process all over again. So, I have a new composition. Now let's get a text. A few things before we start. What is typography? It's the art of moving words. Alright, so when a typographer wants to create a new font, he has to do every single letter, he has to go through the process of making sure that it's very consistent, and that's how typography works. And animating typography takes a lot of, not skill, it takes a bit more of an animation feeling, if you will. You have to look at every single word and see how it's behaving with the other one, or how you're going to transition from, let's say, which is something we're going to be doing today. Like, hi, my name is Peps, for an example. How can I create an animation to be engaging when I'm creating, hi, my name is Peps, right? So colors that matters, the way it's expressing itself, the way it's like scaling up and down, the opacity of the animation, the way it's stretching and contracting, different sizes, capital letters or undercase letters. It all depends on how you use that typography or font. The most important thing about typography is the font. So when you're trying to animate something, you have to have a correct font. Let's look at brands like Nike. Right? You don't see anybody else using the Nike's typography or the Adidas typography or I don't know, the Marvel typography. What if we use the Marvel typography on a Galaxy chocolate, for an example? It's not going to fit. So each typography or font has a purpose, and it's there for a reason. And that's what we have to do here. We have to choose a font that will look good and give us the purpose we're looking for, which is introducing myself in this case for this video. So this was just a small introduction. Let's start directly doing this. So I'm going to take a text layer right here, horizontal, and I'm going to type hi. Let me zoom in here. So this is terrible. Now, if I want to scale up this font, actually, I have my character tab right here on the right. And I can just increase the size. And I want this to actually be something else. There we go. Make sure it's not italic. I want it to be full capital without italic. Great. That's good. So I'm going to change the color to something like orange. That is up to your preference, definitely. But today we're just going to be looking at how we can animate text. So I have my layer right here. My text layer called hi. Next, I would like to put the pivot point, which is the point of rotation for this specific layer, from here to the center of the actual word. And you do this by clicking on the layer. It appears as a small little crosshair right here. And you go to the Y tool on your keyboard, or this tool right here on the top left, which is panned behind the point tool, anchor point. And you just click and drag it. And this will move the point of rotation. So I have that. I need to align my actual layer. So I'm going to go to my bottom right here, my align tab, and I'm going to click on center, horizontal, center, vertical, and now it's perfectly centered. Great. Now, here's where we're going to go through the animation, right? So we talked about how we want to express this typography, this font. So here we have, in the drop text, a text and an animate. If you remember from my motion graphic video, once we create a shape or a line, you would get a content right here. Instead of animate, we get a content. Same principle. Each one of these, so if I click it, you have animation. So I can animate the position of each word, the scale of each word, the skew, rotation. So this is specific to this. Alright? So here I'm going to go for a tracking. Now, once you create any kind of animation inside of animate, you have to make sure that there's a few things you have to change. So right here, let me first of all check if I can zoom into this feature because it's a bit small. Where's my zoom it function? Not here. Seems I might have lost it. No, okay, it's fine. So here I have the tracking amount. So two things you have to look for. Anytime you have an animate function, you have to look at the tracking amount or whatever option is here under the range selector and the range selector. Okay, so let's say for an example, I'm going to raise up this tracker. So I don't want it to be the H moving, I want the I to move. Let's see if I move. There we go. Would this affect it? No, it's not affecting it. So let's see if I can change the start to finish. Nope. Let me move the offset a little bit. It's not doing anything. Okay, it's fine. We're actually going to use the H in this sense. Okay, so I'm going to take my H all the way outside of my composition. So again, look at the range selector and look at the tracking amount or tracking type. Okay, that's what you're going to be animating specifically. So I'm going to click on the tracking amount right here. I created a keyframe. I'm going to move a few frames here. So let's say 15 frames ahead. And I'm going to push this all the way back to right here. I want it to touch the eye because I want it to bounce off of the eye. So that's perfect. Next, I'm going to move a tiny bit. So here I moved 0, 5, 10, 15 frames. Here I'm just going to move after 15 frames, 5 more frames. So I'm going to go to 20 and bounce this back out just like that. So if I press space, it's very slow. So let's move this a lot further close. There we go. And I want this one to be half right here. It's a bit too strong, the bounce, so I'm going to move this a bit further away. Both of them a little bit further away. There we go. Just slowing it down a bit. Perfect. Now, a trick. To make any kind of animation inside of After Effects smooth, you need something called an easy ease key. Alright? So, what does that mean? Basically, it means that when the animation curve happens, so let's look here. Let me actually explain this right here. So I'm going to create the shape very quickly. So, when it's a keyframe that looks like this one, let me find it first. Like these. They look like basically rotated cubes or kind of triangles. Alright, so if that's the case, what you're getting as the animation curve happens is a constant. So it's going from here to here. Let me make sure the stroke is black. There we go. So the animation curve from one point to the other goes this way. So this is the x and y value, right here. And it goes completely constant. So it's a constant speed for the animation. Now, if I take these keyframes and I press F9 on my keyboard, or I right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, so F9. Okay? What this will do is that it's going to change this actual curve of animation from something like this to something like that. Okay? So easy ease, what does it do? It basically slows down the animation at first, then goes to a constant speed, then slows it back down once it reaches its endpoint. And that's what makes it a lot smoother. So let's look at here. Let's go back. Perfect, okay. So let's look at the animation. And now I'm going to take these keyframes, press F9, and let's see how. So it has a bit more of a bounce, it's slower, and it looks a lot more natural, which is perfect. Next, let's go to something else. I'm going to be rotating this shape. So I want the pivot point to be right in the center. Like so. Great. Press R on my keyboard on this actual layer. And I know that the animation stops right here. So just before it stops, I'm going to give it a few frames ahead, so 20. Click on my rotation, and I'm going to increase by 10 frames and rotate 90 degrees. Perfect. So it goes from here to here. Great. I want this to be also F9. So easy ease. Next, we're going to create a new text. And I'm going to be, sorry, that's the right one. my name is Peps. So let me take this. As for scale, I'm going to scale this down. I would like the high to actually fit perfectly right here. Great, let me scale this down a little bit more. Change the color from orange to white. Let's see how far I can take this scale down here. That seems to be decent right here. Okay, next I'm going to create an animation for this one, which is going to be the opacity animation. So let's go back to my name is Peps right here. Animate, I'm going to make it an opacity one. Great, so again, remember, range selector, opacity, and you have the... So range selector is what you're going to be animating, and the opacity itself. So let's go to 0, 0, 0 on everything. Let's drop down the opacity, and let's see. So my name is Peps, great. So 100, 100. Sorry, opacity, 100. If I drop this down, great, so it's not going to be the start, it's going to be the end. There we go. So I'm going to go from my name to its Peps. All you have to do when you're using these kind of settings is honestly just try them out and see what they do. Click all the buttons and see what they do, and you'll understand exactly what the purpose of these specific offsets, start, all of these will do. Okay? So here I'm going to start at the end. It's going to be at 100%. My opacity is at 0, so it's very much invisible. As soon as it ends right here, great, I'm going to click on the end, and I'm going to start the animation for the other one all the way to 0. Oh, that's the opposite, sorry. We need to go back to here. It's the start. There we go. The start we're going to be animating. All the way there, and 100, great. Let's see. It's very slow, so I'm going to move this a bit further. I'm going to grab them and F9. There we go, and let's see. Fantastic so far. My name is Peps. Great. Now, let's discuss a transition. Transition is to jump from one piece of information to the next by completely covering whatever you're actually looking at. So here I'm going to do a very simple animation. So I'm just going to take a normal sphere, an ellipse tool, in white, that's perfectly fine. And try to stay consistent with your colors. So for an example here, I have black, I have white, and I have orange. So I'm going to keep those colors for the entire composition or the entire project. Make sure that my stroke is gone by pressing Alt-click on it. There we go. And that's what I want. I want a pure white. So it's right here. So I'm going to scale this from 0. It's going to go from, let's see, the animation ends right here. My name is Peps. And I'm going to jump a scale from here all the way to a little bit forward and increase the size. It's very slow. Great, that's a bit better. So as soon as this happens, I'm going to copy this by Control Copy, Control V. So Control V, Control C, Control V. So it's going to be renamed to white. This is going to be a black. And I want another one. Control Copy, Control V. The black number 2, I'm going to make it orange. So this black right here, I want it to be pure black. Orange, I want it to be the same orange as typography, so let's just remove everything. Let me just hide my layers so I can see this one. Like orange. So I'm going to do is take the fill, I'm going to take my eyedropper, take exactly the same orange, that way I don't get confused. Perfect. And let's turn everything back on. Now, the first one is going to take priority, which is going to be the white, and the rest are not showing. So I'm going to just move this to the side. Just a little bit. And move this to the side. Just a little bit. Like so. This one's going to be on top of the white. This one's going to be on top of the black. So, first one, second one, third one. Now, I want them to kind of interchange here, so I need my black to be a little bit backwards, my orange to also be a little bit backward, that way they show this way, giving me this effect. So that's a transition. I'm completely hiding whatever information I had before by putting like a gigantic graphic or a gigantic transition animation in between that will completely cover everything, and we jump to the next piece of information. So pop, done right here. And now I can go close all of this up and go to a text and say I am a 3D instructor. Enter at ND. There we go. Scale this down using the characters, and I want the words to be centered perfectly, so I'm just gonna double click on them. Make sure that my paragraph alignment is in the center. Great. Take it, align, center to the actual scene. There we go. So we can do a lot of neat tricks here. So let's go here and animate. Let's see, line spacing. Let's try this out. I never tried it before, so let's see what it does. So this one will jump to here, and this one will go that way. So what we can do is actually, oh, that'll be fun. Sorry about that. My cat is being kind of annoying. So let's just finish this and I can actually end the video right there. Where were we? Path options, more options. No, we were here. Animate, line spacing. So I do want the I am a 3D instructor to actually disappear. So what we're gonna do is take this, press T on it, which gives me the opacity key shortcut. So right here, opacity all the way to 0. Create a keyframe, move forwards, get that. Next, I want the actual text animation that we did, the animator one. Here it is. And I want this to jump from the bottom right here. So line spacing all the way here. And I would like to also position P. This entire thing right here, move a little bit forward and take it up, and then move forward a little bit, take it back down to where it was. So here I can actually copy my first frame, Ctrl C, Ctrl V with my second frame, doing, let's see what it looks like first. Ooh, this is weird. Seems that I forgot to animate my other keys. Let's see. Oh, they're right here. Opacity position, my text. There we go. Ah, that's what I forgot to do. So right here, this one is completely down. Great, and let's move these forwards. Then it goes up here, and it goes completely up. So the animation is extremely quick, so let's move everything forwards a little bit. Very, very quick. We're talking about we're working barely a few frames ahead, so let's just move everything forwards. And let's take all of these and move them forwards as well, so one by one. There we go, and this one right here. Try to keep it even. So I want, as soon as this appears and this moves, that when it hits, it goes up, meaning this frame right here. Too fast. There we go, much better. And I actually want it to go back down a little bit here, so as soon as it goes up and down, move forwards, and I want it to go from line spacing, create a keyframe with this, and go forwards and go down. There we go. Perfect. And that's basically what we have so far. So I have all the way to the front. Let's try again. Let's see how fast this all is. This is quite fast. Alright, so I'm gonna stop the animation right here. So I'm gonna take all of my frames. Let me show you this little trick here just to organize everything. Alt bracket on your keyboard. There we go. Right click pre-compose. First let me go to my end selection. Right click pre-compose, let's say intro animation here. Great, and I'm gonna alt also bracket. I'm gonna make sure I said time times stretch. So all I did is right click on this actual composition, intro to animation, right click time times stretch, and I'm gonna make it so right now it's 100%. If I do it 150, it's gonna increase by 50%. So that's perfect. Making it a little bit slower. Much better. Great. And that's about it. So this is what typography, motion graphics, transitioning, all of these animations can do. And the small little keys I can like give you at the end, small little tips is stay consistent, choose a font that you love. If you want to use different fonts, so let's say you want to use my hi is a font and then my name is Paps is another font, make sure they complement each other. Don't make something very weird. They're going to look very junky and very cheap. You don't want that. Try to keep everything consistent when it comes to that. Use very little colors. Don't use a lot of colors, and keep using the same colors throughout your composition. Sorry. So, and you'll have a very successful motion graphic video, introduction video, or whatever you want to do with typography. All right. So explore the animation tools and use all of those. All right. Thank you so much, guys. And please, if you like this video, subscribe, like, and if you can also ring the notification bell, that will really help me a lot. And I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.